Hello, welcome to Rappaport in Residence, a dream of passion. My name is Errol Rappaport, and I am your host of this podcast series sponsored by the Daisy Jopling Music Mentoring Foundation. Daisy Jopling and the band just finished an incredible concert on Bannerman Island, and I had the honor and pleasure of interviewing all the fabulous band members. Today, it is my honor to interview Sal Lagonia, who is the featured trumpet soloist. Here's a little bit about Sal. Sal Lagonia is a versatile trumpet player who loves to play everything from classical to rock to jazz. He studied the trumpet for over 50 years. In fact, one critic commented about Sal, he has such a nice, easygoing jazz tone and can play the rock riffs from Chicago or Earth, Wind, and Fire on the same night. Sal has played with regional bands such as Destiny, the Chicago Tribute Band, Elmer Fudd. He has also played in classical orchestras and as a church soloist. Sal's recent performance with the amazing violinist at the Bannerman Castle was a reunion of two musicians. They played to a sold-out performance as Daisy and Sal performed Chris Boat's arrangement of Emmanuel and Cinema Paradiso. It was absolutely fabulous, absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
So my first question, Sal, is how did you meet Daisy Jopling, and explain what it means to get caught up in the Daisy Jopling magic?
Magic, I like that word because that's what it is. Actually, I met Daisy in a weird way. I took my wife out to her Valentine's dinner at a very nice restaurant, and Daisy came in and played some music. And while she was playing, I told my wife, I said, it really would be nice if I could play that song I just heard by Chris Bode, Emmanuel, with somebody like her. And my wife kept saying, go up there and talk to her, go up there and talk to her. And I was, kind of chicken in the beginning. And I finally said, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And I asked Daisy if she ever heard that song. She said, oh, yes, I heard the song. And if I could ever find a trumpet player who knows how to play it, I'd love to do that.
Did she know you played the trumpet when you asked her?
I just said, you just have. And we need to do this. And, but the magic, she made it happen. About a month later, the two of us played it together. We played it together many times after that. And it was just a magical night that we met and both loved this song.
Did she know you played the trumpet when you went up to her?
No, not at all.
And she just came up
with
no
idea who I was. You just talk about a trusting person. She had no clue who I was or if I knew how to play one note.
Wow. Unbelievable.
It really was.
That's unbelievable. Okay, so tell us about your background and how did you get started in music?
Well, when I was a little kid, 5 years old, my dad would put a trumpet in my mouth and tell me to start blowing on it. And because I couldn't lift it, he built a little rug cushion for me so that I could lean it against it. And both my dad and mom were very musical people. They didn't professionally do anything in music at all, but they loved it. And my mom was a classical fan in the big time. My dad was a jazz big band kind of fan. So you can imagine growing up in a household with those two types of music being played in each ear, you kind of get a good appreciation for all types of music. And that's really what I did. I wanted to quit the trumpet probably about 100 times. My father would send me back into my room to practice. And no matter how many times I quit, he would send me back in. And then he hooked me up with a fantastic professor, Peter Crino, who was one of the monsters of the trumpet. And I studied with him for quite a few years and still stay in touch with him to this day.
Well, let me ask you, first of all, why the trumpet? Why not the piano? Why not the clarinet?
Yeah, good question. My dad loved the trumpet. He tried to play it, and he did a good job with it. And so we had trumpets around. Later on, I picked up the guitar and the piano myself, but he was really focused on the trumpet. And looking back at it today, it's an instrument that not everybody plays. You want to find, I hate to say it, but you want to find a guitar player, you'll find a billion of them. You'll find a lot of other types of instruments, but the trumpet is not as prevalent. And I am so thrilled now when I look back on how that worked out, that you put this thing in your hand and you can make notes out of it. It's just, I love the instrument.
So at what age did you know that this is what you wanted to do? This is what you're going to do for the rest of your life?
I really didn't. I mean, when I was a teenager, I was going to, my mom wanted me to go to Juilliard. I wanted to be an astronaut. You know, it's just something totally different. But the good thing was I never gave it up. I kept playing it. I kept playing it. I kept playing. I played in bands. I would go everywhere. It was always my other job, and that carried me over now, you know, into life now, where I play with one of the nicest, best regional bands around called Class Action, of all things. I, you know, get to play with people like Daisy, play at church, play wherever I want, and still enjoy the music that I can put out.
That's fantastic. So another question, what does it mean to be an artist?
I think it means different things to different people.
What does it mean to you?
To me, it means expression. You know, you have to express yourself in different ways. And so whether I'm playing a song by Chris Bodie or a song by Chicago or whatever it is, I'm going to play it my way. You know, I always say I don't want to copy anybody too much. You want to do things in your own method. And I think that's the art part of it. You know, I can't draw a straight line, but I can play some music. And so to me, I have the one portion of my brain that plays with art is a musical one, not necessarily any other type.
Right. When people say in life you have to pay your dues, what does that mean to you in this business?
Work hard and work. You know, I get to talk to a lot of young artists today, or people who are on the way up or think they are at least. And one of the things I tell them is it's not going to happen automatically. You know, some of them will come to you and say, gosh, I've been doing this for a year and nothing is happening. And I look at them with a crazy look on my face. A year and you think you have an art, you've got to keep working at it. It's something that develops over a lot of time, a lot of sweat, a lot of, you know, practicing over and over and over, a lot of spending time in your practice room, which is I'm in my practice room now. Spending hours in here every single day. There's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't put 2 hours of practice in. And I think people have to understand that that's really what it takes.
Well, I guess playing the trumpet, I mean, your instrument is your lungs and everything. That must be quite, you know, practice and exercise, let's say.
Yeah, it is. It's a matter of the buzz from your lip on the mouthpiece, which is the most important thing. You know, one of the things we had at the Bannerman concert, they were concerned about the COVID issue and all of that. And they said, well, won't a lot of air be coming out of the trumpet? Well, not much air comes out of the trumpet at all. In fact, a good trumpet player should be able to hold a note as long as they could hold their breath, because you're just really using the air to buzz the mouthpiece, and that's making the tone that comes out of the trumpet.
Wow, what a fantastic that is. Now, what was tell us about the experience of playing on the Bannerman Castle, of everything you had to go through just to because it was fantastic. I saw the film, a rough cut of the film last night, and first of all, it's great. You are great. They just the lighting and the playing and those songs. It's just fabulous. Wait till you see it. You're gonna be so excited. Because the audience, we're streaming this in a couple of weeks. You're gonna have a notice of when we're streaming it. Make sure you see it. It's so unusual. It's so great and beautiful. So.
Yeah, it was an experience and a half. I got to tell you something. I've never done like this before. We start with the 72 steps that we had to go to, and we did count those steps. Well, I know Lavando and I, the bass player, we're literally calling them off as we were going up them with all our equipment over our shoulders. But it's such a beautiful site, a site without electricity that it had to happen, and you had to bring the electricity in. We made our own electricity that way. Being able to play from a turret, which I never even knew what a turret was until I got there. And having that spot behind the band to play on and to play in line with Daisy was just amazing. I have to admit, even though I know Daisy and I know her magic and I know, her drive, I wondered if we were going to actually pull this thing off. And to see not only pulling it off, but to do it to the level that we did. And it was such a professional operation, from the lighting people to the sound people. Todd Delgiz was phenomenal. We had the production people, the cameramen, everybody, and they stayed out of your way while you were trying to put the show on, and yet came up with a phenomenal product. I couldn't be happier with the way this week went off. 7 days of trying to get every note right, but it was worth it.
Right. Everybody says, all the band people I've spoken, they all tell me about the 72 steps.
Yeah, 72 steps. That we felt bad because we had to carry our equipment up, but you can imagine the poor guys with the sound equipment and all that. They had a lot more of a load to bring up there. It was an exercise.
I heard about Jeff and the piano.
Yeah.
Jeff Bill had to bring the piano up, and Matt had to help him, and
Matt had to help him, and yeah, it's
everybody
true.
else.
That long piano with all the keys, and what a fantastic piano player he is.
Yes, I mean, and just everybody is such a labor of love, and everybody came together so beautifully. My next question would be, what do you think of the future of the music business is headed? Where do you think it's headed, especially now? Broadway's going to be closed for another 2 years, I think. And so where do you get to play? Where do you get to practice? And where do the musicians have to get paid and raise a family?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to adapt. We have to hope that some cooler heads prevail and that this COVID gets under control, and I think it will be soon. But we have to adapt to it. I played a gig last night, and we did it in a parking lot of a restaurant, and to a packed house, but all separated by enough distance. And we did the sound system with that in mind. We did our playing with that in mind. And it worked out pretty nice. At least the band got to exercise themselves a little bit. My band has 7 pieces in it, and it's a nice, good brass section band. But you have to be able to play someplace, and it's so hard to play indoors. I think the real challenge is going to be now as the winter comes in and we can't do those things anymore. We now have to worry about, how much are we going to atrophy over the next few months.
What do you know about the Daisy Jopling Music Foundation, and what have you seen? And they played in the Paramount and everything. What have you seen of the people that have been involved in it, and what it means to the people that have been part of the program?
Yeah, what a great foundation. First of all, I love the idea of getting kids involved in music, and that's so important nowadays. We have too many people who think they're great and others who need cultivation, and that's really what comes out of Daisy's programs. The people that work within the foundation and the people that work in Daisy's band are just such good-hearted and great people.
Right.
I tell everybody, how'd you get along with the band? I said, in about 2.5 minutes, I felt like I was at home because they were all so good and top quality people, friendly as could be, and warm and loving. And you want that. But it's to move on now and to really be able to influence the life of young people who want to be in music is important, because we don't know where the next really good quality talent is coming from. But we'll find it, and we'll find it better if we help them along the way. And that's really what our job is to pay it forward and do it the right way.
So what advice would you give to somebody starting out in the music business?
Work hard.
At different ages. Let's go from different ages.
Well, at any age, work hard. Understand that you're going to have to work hard for a long time. And the other part of it is be humble. If you're going to stand up there and think you're going to be as good as, and fill in the blank, whoever that star is, don't try to be that person. Try to be yourself. Don't let I'm a big Yankee fan, and I always remember the year that the Yankees won the World Series with Joe Torre, and they tried to get Joe to say how great the team was, and he said, "We don't do that." He said, "We let others tell us how good we are." And I think that's the attitude you need to take into it. If you play a good piece, great. You know what? There's going to be a day when you don't. And you need to understand that people are, put your best show on all the time, but you don't think you're as good as you want to be. You always have to go to that next step. You always have to work harder and you can always be better. You're never good enough.
Well, my dad used to say, work is work only when it's work.
Yeah, that's true too. Love what you do. That is such an important part of it. I was telling somebody yesterday, in order to practice every night, I have a law practice. I'm a judge. I have to go to court. I come home at night and I play my horn. And in order sometimes to start, it really takes a push to get me off the chair and into the practice area. But once I start, it is something I love to do, and it makes it easy to go the next couple of hours and just practice everything I'm doing.
That's great. So if somebody wanted to reach you, to talk to you or to hire you or whatever, do you have a website or
Don't have a website. I'm on Facebook. You can always find me there. My name's not too normal, so it's easy to find. But there's always my Facebook page and also my band's Facebook page, Class Action. And we stay in touch. We usually put up our next performances there. In fact, the gig I did last night, somebody recognized me as being at the Bannerman concert because they were there. So I thought that was very cool.
Did they come up with you afterwards?
They did. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Well, okay. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this. I mean, that was just a great interview, and I think you're an inspiration to a lot of people, playing music and young people, and it's just wonderful to be involved with the foundation. I just love it. And so, everybody, I want you to know that you're going to be able to see the streaming of this concert. You go to the Daisy Jopling Foundation.org to find it. It's going to be illuminated here on this on this podcast of where you can get it. And next week, I'm going to interview Jeff Miller, who played the piano, who I hear is wonderful also. I mean, you guys have such a camaraderie. Each one I speak to, so it's complimenting the other one. And they're so happy to be part of this, unit you have of 6 people, I think. And it's just great. And I'm going to leave everybody with this one message here that is important to everybody. Oh, before that, I must mention that this whole series is dedicated to Joe Brown, who was Daisy's late husband. So may you always have a dream of passion. Thank you.